Welcome back everyone to Pineleaf Plays the Rune-keeper. And we're heading out of the Chamber of Crossroads and heading towards the 21st Hall, which is the main hub for the entire region on Moria. The 21st Hall, we hang right here, is where we have the auction house, the crafting hall, and all those other items. Now, right now we're in a rather winding path, and this path just leads us to the 21st Hall. We don't run into any mobs, so therefore we'll take a little pause here. We are nearing the end of this winding road and approaching the 21st Hall. Now, during this time we did run past some scholar instances, some resource instances, but we'll look into those things later. For now, we're running with the epic and into the 21st Hall. And that's right up ahead. But the Chamber of Command is off to the right a little bit, but we'll go first, tag up on the goat tender. Here.
Dwarves must fight for dwarves.
Yeah, that's right. Alright, and FRAPS. See, we have Dolphin View, Durance Thresh. Alright, we'll take 21st Hall, we'll replace Durance Threshold. Yeah, maybe I should have used it to replace Dolphin View instead, now I think of it, but a bit late now. Chamber of Leadership. If they let me inside. And here we go, Broger! Hello, I heard you came out ahead.
This needs doing.
Yes, of course it does. Welcome to the Chamber of Leadership, Pinestone. From here, I will lead my people to even greater glory in Moria. Alright, and we get a 4,000 XP Heritage Rune.
I can hardly believe that we are here. This is a joyous day for the dwarves.
The time of the dwarves is truly at hand, Pinestone. Now, how ludicrous we were to fear that some curse might lie upon Moria after all these years. Had we returned before now, Moria might be thriving already. They forgot about what happened to the last group here. Oh, they haven't heard from the last group. They're assuming they're alive and rich rather than dead. Yes, of course. What's done is done. We are here now, and many of the dwarves of our expedition have ventured forth into deep tunnels, seeking great riches that must surely lie untouched within the caves of Moria. If you come across Roker or Utrig during their explorations of Zelimelech, be sure to lend them any assistance they may require. They set out through the southern passage from the 21st Hall, but where they went from there, I do not know. Alright. So we were asked to help one of those two. So let's go out this way. How are we doing for XP on our... Well, I suppose I could track these. I normally don't track legendary items, but one can do that and track them and put them up here. So they're fairly low level in those things, so I might as well throw it onto my... Well, that didn't do much. Alright, I can get onto a goat. I've done this one quite a few times, so therefore I've got a pretty standard mode of operation for this. Especially at the level I usually do this quest, because, as I said, it's sending you back to the silver team load, so even though this thing is marked as a level 56 quest, you normally do it much earlier, but of course if I went through the main way, let's see, we've got that rider there, so normally I just, well, something you never do with a real goat. Because it's a 45-second falling injury that you get for that, but it means I don't have to fight. Well, actually, it's level 55. It's not really that bad. Alright, hello, I was asked to find you.
The time has come to drive forth the orcs from our kingdom.
Hello there, elf. Lord Broger sent you to help me. I appreciate the offer, but I have no need of your assistance. In the halls of my fathers, I need rely on none but the strength of my own arm. Ultra cocks his head as he glares into the shadows. I may have been too quick to speak, helpful elf. There is someone there in the shadows. Prepare for battle! Alright, so now a scout pops up and we have to fight this Uruk. He's on level 54. So why it's a level 56 quest? No idea. It might be that some of the other mobs you have to go through in order to get here, assuming you don't take the cut I usually take. Might be a little bit higher. And that's all you have to do is you defeat the Uruk and you are done. Now the other thing of interest in this area here is there are these barterers here. If I go through him, I can get to the foresters. A little bit that way, so I have to go through that hall right there. It's the Forester's instance. I know Forester's instance sounds like a rather strange thing to have in Moria. And the one that was on the path I took earlier was the resource instance for the scholars. I'll take the quick way to the 21st hall. And that's the real reason for selecting the 21st hall, once I could quickly get back there after this particular run. So Broger sends me here. And now I can talk to him. So that's a really straightforward one. But after this, they do start jumping up a little bit. And when it does that, obviously, I'm going to have to take a break from the epic and go back to the regular quests. Alright, Broger. Talked to a guy, helped him with the scout.
The sign of the White Hand, you say?
Now, there are two that you could go to. I have no clue where the other one. Every single time I have ever done this quest, I have always gone to the same guy. And I guess someday I am going to remember, try looking for the other one just to see what happens differently there. But most likely, I suspect that since he uses the word he in there, doesn't name the dwarf that you found, I have a feeling the exact thing happens, except you ran to him somewhere else. He owes you his life pine stone. He has always been headstrong and impertinent, but I cannot blame him here. Desire to claim the riches of Khazad-dûm has blinded many dwarves to the minding their own safety. Still, he is fortunate that you came along when you did. Uruks are fierce and not to be underestimated. Tell me more of this Uruk scout. There is something about your story that gives me pause.
We must do something about the White Hand within Moria.
Are you certain the Uruk you fought had the mark of the White Hand? That is truly unusual, Pinestone. What compelled these creatures to enter Moria? They certainly did not come from the way we did. That means they must have gone around the mountains and come in from the east. But for what purpose? Some suspicious plot is afoot, and I do not like it. Does not matter. Any orc or Uruk is a threat to us. Those of the White Hand, no less than any other. Search out orcs of any allegiance throughout the Zelemelek and Redhorn loads and defeat them wherever possible. The only good orc is a dead one. Okay, he didn't use the word good there, but you got the idea. What I'm going to do is I am going to pop over to Dolphin View. And I'll show you what I normally do for this quest. You remember that training hall
Greetings,
quest?
traveler. Will you stay a moment?
Well, it so happens
Greetings, traveler.
the training hall counts for the orcs I need in there, so let us go in there. Turn to the training hall.
Many armories and forges of the dwarves lie dormant in Khazad-dûm, awaiting the hands of their masters. One such has been claimed by the orcs of Moria for a training hall. If the forge is to see service again, the orcs must be driven forth.
Right, so I just do this again. And there it goes. And now these are level 54s, and that's rather than going after random mobs who are probably going to be a level or two higher. Around 55 or 56 if I went to the ones in the main portion of the hall. So that's my usual reason for doing them here. And it saves me the trouble of having to go and running all over the place, since these are all nice and compact together. It gives me a chance to run the training hall and pick up the title for my legendary item. So I guess it's probably not as important for a Rune-keeper. But I can also pick up some relics, and at this level, tier 1 relics, a bunch of tier 1 relics isn't really all that bad. It's when you get up to the higher levels where tier 1 relics are just a joke. Alright, let's see. Alright, so now we'll take care of a few of these and see how many orcs we can kill. Hopefully at least 12. Well, it should be no trouble killing at least 12 orcs when you consider that I have to kill 12 recruits just to complete this instance. So it would be impossible to do this instance without completing this particular part of the epic story. And don't worry, we'll get plenty of looks at killing orcs in the main part of Zelamelech later on, when I'm at a more appropriate level for that. You can die now. Yes, thank you. Alright, let's do this right. Just make sure I don't do something crazy like. Okay, knocked him out a little bit. That's good. And there. And there we go. And we got 9 already. I hadn't even started on the recruits. So that guy, I don't want to do it when the Overseer is right in front of them, since then I'd have to fight the Overseer and... Or actually, I guess it's Taskmaster, not Overseer. Go after the Taskmaster and the recruits at the same time, which isn't good. And there we go. Alright, that takes care of the epic story part. So we'll have to go back to Rogor in that matter. Tell you what, you don't need to see me finish this instance. I already showed you what that was like. So what I'll do is I will kill off the rest of these orcs, get whatever reward I want here, and I'll meet you back in the 21st Hall at the Chamber of Command. I'll see you then. Alright, it's the Chamber of Leadership, not the Chamber of Command. Either way, let's talk to Broger.
You've done well.
Thank you again for your service. I don't believe that there are so many orcs in Moria, but I am particularly troubled by the presence of those of the White Hand. Either they followed us somehow, or they were here first. Neither of these possibilities bodes well for my folk. Alright? So let us see what we have here. What's so great about this ring? I don't see anything about this ring that particularly excites me, despite the fact that it's a higher level than the other two I've seen here. Don't ask me why. Whatever, I'll take that.
You should help my dwarves unearth the buried chamber of records.
The White Hand will have to wait, Pinestone, because War has sent me word that he wants your help. You remember War, don't you? He supervised the opening of the Holding Gate, and has a very high opinion of you, as do we all, of course. Now, his team of workers has been excavating the Hall of Mazabul in the Chamber of Records, located just north of the 21st Hall and to the right. Walk there and speak with War about the task he has for you. We will discuss the White Hand problem upon your return. Alright. Now, the Chamber of Mazarbul is a very important one in the books when they're going through Moria, and it has a couple of interesting scenes that we will have here later on. But rather than heading there right at this moment, I think I'd have a look at the barterers here. Is this the guy for the ring? Yeah, here's the legendary Rune-keeper. Now, I'm asking you, when you have all these vendors here, what? You're saying, okay, you would think that as many of these as possible. Okay, you can't have, I suppose you can't have a dwarven lore master, so they have to have a, and I guess that goes true with the warden also. I presume, captain. Okay, but the minstrel should be a dwarf. We are in Khazad-dûm. Alright. All friend.
What do you need?
Yes. Now, here we could pick up some new legendary items, and we could exchange dwarven rusted tools that we have picked up along the way, and we turn them in for legendary items. So, right now I've got level 51 ones, so now I could get these for level 53 items. Lightning damage, frost damage. Now, I'll do one that does frost damage since most of this damage I do by myself is lightning, so therefore I get one that does a slightly different damage. In the past, what kind of damage it did would affect the attunement of your item, but it doesn't do that anymore, so I'm not going to worry about that. And the Rune-keeper's rune satchel, and I also get a rune satchel. So now I have one for level 53. And hope I got the ones for level 53. Yeah, okay, these are both 50. There's also another set down here for level 55, which I can get later on in a couple more levels. Then you can turn in tablets, which you start earning later. And they are used for level 57 and 59. So that's just a way of turning down. You will find a vendor for that here. You'll find one in Dolphin View, and you'll find one in Bree. So just in case you have a ton of these things later on, and they're put in my barter wallet here at Rusted Dwarf Tools. So eventually you pick up more of these things than you could really use. So let me just
The
identify
lords of
these.
Moria have returned.
Now I'm not going to be using these right away simply because I'll have to level them all up to a proper level so that they'll be more useful in my current one. And also, I'm going to wait till this is level 31 before I go around deconning it, because this is the one item that you have that you cannot level. The starter one is the only one you can't level while it's not equipped. So therefore I'm going to have to go to that level up to a point where I'm willing to decon it, and then add the XP to one of my existing items. But that all will be, of course, for another time. Next time we'll head off to the Chamber of Miserable, where we will talk to War and see what he has to say. And we'll do that in our next episode of Pineleaf Plays the Rune-keeper.